A few days ago marked the third anniversary of the 13 service members who were killed due to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's incompetence. If you remember, Joe Biden wanted to leave Afghanistan and had everyone go to the airport at the same exact time for his disastrous withdrawal, and that's the nicest thing I can say about it. All of the service members that were eager to leave this falling apart country decided to swarm the airports, and all of a sudden, a bomb went off and killed 13 service members. During the withdrawal, Kamala Harris said that she was the last person in the room.
President Biden always said that he wants you to be the last person in the room, particularly for big decisions, just as he was for President Obama. He just made a really big decision, Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do.
And took responsibility. After the withdrawal,
I think there's going to be plenty of time to analyze what has happened and what has taken place in the context of the withdrawal from Afghanistan. But right now, we are singularly focused on evacuating American citizens, Afghans who worked with us, and Afghans who are vulnerable, including women and children. And that is our singular focus at this time, understanding that we have a priority in making sure that the people that, in particular, helped America achieve its responsibilities in terms of our priorities and the reason we went to Afghanistan in the first place, that we have a responsibility and we feel a deep commitment to making sure that folks who helped us are safe. But there's no question that what many of us have seen on television, as the president has said, I mean, the president has, I think, shown great emotion in expressing sadness about some of the images we have seen. But we cannot be in any way distracted in any way from what must be our primary mission right now, which is evacuating people from that region who deserve to be evacuated.
when the service members made it back to America to see their families and to have a proper funeral, Joe Biden checked his watch as if he had somewhere better to be. Think about it. What better thing is there to do for Joe Biden other than seeing these service members that killed under his watch? Is it going to see the bingo game at the nursing center or having his chocolate chip ice cream? Knowing that Gold Star families still put aside this difference and invited both Biden and Kamala Harris to the third anniversary of this event is beyond me. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was these Gold Star family members. But both of them didn't come. A big slap in the face to the Gold Star families. So they decided to take pictures with Trump, the president who didn't try to have an excuse and decided to come to this funeral nonetheless. And it wasn't even his fault under his presidency. It was under Joe Biden's presidency. Talk about a leader and talk about a strong former president. For the mainstream, it is super maddening that Trump got to go and Kamala Harris and Biden didn't get to go, but they don't care about all of the facts, like the fact that Joe Biden just did not decide to come and the fact that Kamala Harris decided not to come, even though they were both invited. The mainstream media is now super mad at Trump for taking pictures with the Gold Star family members that lost their loved one and is now requesting for something you can do for free. It doesn't make any sense, and neither does this administration. The most sad part about all of this is that this isn't even the first time a Democrat got service members killed, and it will not be the last. Remember this in November, Democrats slap you in the face every single time. Republicans have to come and save all of us as Americans and as service members from this disastrous foreign policy and domestic policy. It's disgusting. We must remember this when we go to vote in November. With that being said, let's dig in.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Digging right in, we actually have a breakdown of what actually happened at the ceremony for the Gold Star families. Now, a lot of the mainstream media is saying, well, Trump just sat there and took pictures and there was all these cameras and stuff like that. The Gold Star families wanted this to happen. I mean, they wanted the applause. They wanted the celebration of their loved ones that they do not have anymore. They wanted this former President Trump, to be there. And whenever there is a president or a former president in the premises, obviously there's going to be cameras. So of course they knew about this, but of course the mainstream media does not want this to happen. For those who do not spend their Sunday mornings glued to the TV, Monday marked the 3rd anniversary of the suicide bombing at the international airport Abbey Gate, which killed 13 American service members. Shortly after the ceremony, amid criticism aimed at both Biden and Harris for failing to attend, Democrats and the media heads attacked Trump for taking pictures with the families, claiming that he was using them as campaign props, despite multiple rebukes from the families, who had invited Trump to be there and blamed the Biden-Harris administration for the loss of their loved ones. The attacks continued 6 days later. The media was still working overtime to make Trump look like the bad guy. On ABC News this week, host Jonathan Karl asked Senator Lindsey Graham about it, and Graham said, like many other Gold Star family members who responded, pointed out the fact that Biden and Harris were to blame for the fact that any of them had any reason to be at Arlington in the first place. Karl noted that the outset of the families who had invited Trump to attend the ceremony, and referenced a statement from the United States Army criticizing the former president after an alleged incident involving a member of the cemetery staff, and suggesting that Trump was conducting political activities during his visit to the ceremony. Did the campaign cross the line here? Karl asked. I don't know, Graham asked. Okay, so I don't know why they even got this guy. What does Lindsey Graham have anything to do with this? I think that they should have brought the Gold Star families themselves and asked them. Lindsey Graham has nothing to do with this. He's just a senator. He's just a random senator. But what I would say is call the Gold Star families and say, do you feel disrespected by the picture taking? If not, then what's the big deal? The media needs to go and rebuke these stories if it's not a big deal, because it's not your funeral. It's really not. And don't act like Face the Nation and This Week, ABC This Week, even cares about this whatsoever. They only care about it because it has something to do with Trump. If Trump was not in attendance, then they wouldn't even have been covering the ceremony. It's just the most disgusting slap in the face ever to the people that actually died. The 13 service members that died in this event. It is the biggest slap in the face. They do not care. They only care about Trump. That's it. That's all they care about. And it's disgusting. It's pathetic. And it really is beyond me. It really is how can somebody look at this event and say, no, it's Trump. Trump is the problem here. No, Trump is not the problem here. Just because you're taking pictures at an event you were invited to with the family members that lost their loved ones, which want a photo with you, just does not make any sense whatsoever. And then they go, Face the Nation asks Tony Gonzalez, who was if he was put in the same exact situation, what does he think about it? Gonzalez noted that the veterans support Trump far and away, adding that it was important for the former President Trump to be there to draw attention to the 13 who were killed at Abbey Gate. Of course. CNN anchor Dana Bash, which we know all about from the interview with Kamala Harris, which is just disgusting. Fresh off this week's interview with the Democratic presidential nominee and sitting Vice President Kamala Harris, pressed Trump ally Tulsi Gabbard to respond to the situation as well. Gabbard, who also attended the ceremony, explained, "What I saw was a very grave, somber remembrance and honoring of those lives that were lost. I saw President Trump spending time at the invitation of these Gold Star families. With them, he was there for a few hours. I did not see or hear any of this alteration until someone came out of the news." Yeah, of course, because it's all fake. Senator Tom Cotton, I should say, fielded the same exact questions on ABC News Meet the Press. He didn't take campaign photos there. These families, Gold Star families, whose children died due to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's incompetence, invited him to the ceremony, and then they asked him to take those pictures. That's exactly what I'm saying. You know who these families also invited? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Where are they? Cotton asked. Joe Biden was sitting at the beach. Kamala Harris was sitting in her mansion in Washington, D.C. She was 4 miles away, 10 minutes, and she could have gone to the ceremony and honor the sacrifice of these young men and women, but she hasn't, and she will never speak to them or take a meeting with them because it is her and Joe Biden's incompetence that those 13 service members were killed in Afghanistan. I completely agree with that one. That last point is the most important part, because if you're 10 minutes away, you have no excuse. You have absolutely no excuse not to go there. And of course, she just does not want the backlash from it, because she said that she was the last person in the room. Now, what is on also disastrous foreign policy is the fact that Hamas just killed 6 hostages, including American Israeli Harish Goldberg Poland. So this is the most disgusting thing. Hamas's hostages that they are just killing them. They're just saying, no, we have no use for you. We're not going to be a country anymore anyway. So we're just going to kill you. And it's just the most disgusting, despicable thing that Hamas is doing. And the fact that Joe Biden did not want to get this in order last year is beyond me. It's been 11 months. It's been 11 months since these people were taken. And imagine spending 11 months not knowing if you're going to survive or not, and then starving, and then doing all these bad things. And then, boom, you just get killed. It's the most disgusting thing that could possibly happen. And the Biden administration slow-walked aid to Israel every single time. The Biden administration failed every single time to take those hostages back and to give Israel the moral support, at very least, to actually defend themselves and to get these hostages back. Every single time they got the hostages back, it was the biggest deal ever, because they were going into Rafah, but Rafah is exactly where they were holding the hostages. So it's just the most cut and dry thing. It's just the most cut and dry issue, but people just don't understand it. The Israeli military found Harish Goldberg Poland, a 23-year-old American Israeli taken by Hamas from the Nova Music Festival in October, and 5 other hostages dead in Gaza on Sunday. Israeli Defense Force troops found the bodies of the 6 hostages in a tunnel underneath Rafah, a city in southern Gaza that the Biden administration had previously pressured Israel to refrain from invading. Yeah, so if they would have invaded this tunnel sooner, then this person and these 5 other people would have been alive. It's just the most disgusting thing anyone could actually go through. According to the initial assessment, they were brutally murdered by Hamas terrorists shortly before we reached them. IDF spokesperson Daniel Hagar said it in a statement. Their bodies were found during combat in Rafah in an underground tunnel, approximately 1 kilometer from the tunnel from which they rescued Farhan Kadar a few days ago. Israeli forces rescued Israeli captive Quad Farhan El Lakwada from a underneath tunnel in Rafah on Tuesday. Alongside Goldberg Poland, IDF forces also found the bodies of the Master Sergeant Ari Dono, Carmel Gat, Alexander Labanov, along Suzuri Eldon Yoshimia. All 6 were taken hostage by Hamas on October 7th and were believed to be alive, according to the Wall Street Journal. President Joe Biden released a statement expressing the devastated and outraged reaction to Goldberg Poland's death. Vice President Kamala Harris released a separate statement calling on Hamas an evil terrorist organization, which I do not believe her for one quick second, because of the fact that she has continuously backpedaled, and she has warned against Israeli offenses in Rafah. And she said that she has, quote, studied the maps. So I do not believe you when you say this now, which is just disgusting, because you're just flip-flopping. She doesn't even know what's going on. She's just a big empty suit, and she just says whatever she needs to at that very moment. She does not have any opinion. It's disgusting. The IDF offensive into Rafah began in May after Israeli set up refugee camps and safe travel corridors for civilians to escape the city. Israeli forces have rescued a handful of hostages since, while ceasefire negotiations have been ongoing. Israel has reportedly rejected any deal that would foreclose Israel's ability to destroy Hamas as an organization. Of course, because you cannot have this thing happening in the near future. It's just disgusting. Elected Democrats have faced pressure from the left flank of their party to push for a ceasefire in the Israeli Hamas war, regardless of whether the terrorist group is left intact. Thousands of pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas protesters marched in the Democratic National Convention in Chicago last week to pressure Harris and others to make a tougher stance on Israel, and which didn't help, and these people... Shirley was arrested for screaming in the cops' face and stuff like that, pushing the cops. Obviously, they were arrested but then let go because it's Washington, D.C., or it's not Washington, D.C., it's Chicago, so people just do not care there. And then we have Tim Walz over here, the best vice presidential candidate ever, over here being asked, what is your reaction on the 6 hostages being found in Gaza? And Tim Walz just walks away. And you can obviously hear this question here. So let me play this.
What's your reaction to the 6 hostages being found in Gaza?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Obviously, here's the question. He looks at the reporter. He's right there. And then he's like, oh, well, is there an excuse to leave? Okay, bye. And he just leaves. Like, you couldn't have said the smallest thing, like, oh my God, I feel bad about the situation. This should have never happened. We should have been there for these people. No, just completely ignores the question in general. That just shows you where his head is at, and it's up his ass. So it's just utterly disgusting. It really is. So, moving on with this article. Yeah, of course. What's your reaction to the 6 hostages being found dead in Gaza? All right, everyone. Thanks, everybody. It's just disgusting. Then he turned on his heel and left, surrounded by security personnel along with his wife and daughter. Vice President Kamala Harris issued a statement earlier on Sunday addressing the news that Harish Goldberg Polin, a 23-year-old, and the 6 other hostages were found murdered by Hamas. And she released a statement. It's complete BS, so I'm not going to actually say anything about this situation. He's just a disgustingly fake person. He really, really is. He showed his true colors at the DNC when he pushed and pulled his son, which is on the spectrum for a disability. He pulled and pushed his son, and then you could see all these Democrats. It's just so fake. You see the real people, like Chuck Schumer. Kamala Harris was talking one time. Chuck Schumer went over to her and just said, shh. And then Kamala Harris was like, ooh, all scared. So all of these people are so fake. It's just beyond me. All of these people come together and show as if they are actually unified and they're ready to take over and stuff like that, but they're really not. They all hate each other. Everybody in the Biden administration hates Kamala Harris. Everybody in the Kamala Harris administration hates Joe Biden. Vice versa. Everybody in the Obama administration hates Joe Biden's administration. It's just everybody hates everybody. And it's such a fake thing to see that all of these people are trying to get along on the TVs and on the medias and on the Facebooks and the Twitters and the Instagrams and the TikToks. They just try to get along online, but in reality, they all hate each other profusely. And it's just disgusting trying to see this come into fruition because I just don't, my fake sensor goes right off. When somebody's trying to be fake to me, I just know right away. So these candidates, all of these political commentators on the mainstream media, Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, all of these people, Joe Biden, fake. They're lying about who they are. You can see right through it. It's just disgusting. So with that being said, we're going to finish up this episode here. I know this is a little bit of a shorter episode. This was supposed to be released yesterday, but of course, it was Labor Day. So I said, let me just wait until tomorrow. So we're going to actually have a full episode tomorrow, and that is on the regularly scheduled upload day. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, and I hope they have a great rest of your day. Bye.